Previously on Reading Throne of Glass for the first time. We are doing Throne of Glass. We're gonna try to get through it in the month of September, but there's like 8 books in this series. Surely you know she makes it past the first book. So I'm not even gonna get through half of this series in September. Whoever doesn't want to know spoilers, stop right here. I'm gonna get into it. Hi, hello, how are ya? Before I get started, I feel like I need to address the elephant in the room that I obviously only wear like 3 t-shirts max on a rotation every week. Now that that's out of the way, I'm about halfway into the Heir of Fire. From this point forward in the video, I'm gonna use spoilers. I'm just gonna talk about what's happening. I'm gonna talk about everything as I'm experiencing it. If you haven't read these books, I personally would turn off the video and leave. If you don't care, stick around. If you haven't read it and you got to this point, then you'll have no clue what I'm talking about. I really haven't said anything. Kind of done a really bad job. Heir of Fire, it's getting good. It's getting good and I like it. I'm getting excited. We're like in the 2nd week of October and I'm still on this 4th book out of 8. So it's finally getting good, and it's getting good because Elena is finally out and away from pretty much the normal world that was set up for her in the first few books. And I think I said it before, but I said it as a part of the no spoilers, but I don't like Chaol. He's boring. That is my biggest critique for this book right now. I hate Chaol's chapters. It's funny because I would see people talk about Manon whenever you're reading Throne of Glass and all of a sudden this random chick named Manon shows up. I really enjoy her chapters actually. It's very How to Train Your Dragon to me. Like that's what it reminds me of. She's some sort of like hard character that's kind of like Selena. That's another thing that's kind of a critique, is a lot of these characters just feel like copies of each other and just in different formats. Even Rowan, is it Rowan? I think it's Rowan. Even Rowan feels more like kind of how Chaol felt at the beginning of Throne of Glass, like that almost enemies, rivals, it's enemies, I think, dynamic. These guys, they don't have time for Selena's crap. They're not even gonna put up with her. And it feels very similar to what she went through with Chaol at the beginning of Throne of Glass. But Chaol just kind of like dropped all values he had for honor or whatever it was and just decided he was a simp for Selena. Not that he doesn't have honor, like that's his whole thing. Oh, I'm so honorable. I follow my word. I'm bored of Chaol. I'm kind of bored of Dorian. Everybody talks about how much they love Dorian. I just don't get it yet. I really hope he gets better over the time. Right now, where I'm at, he's like flirting with some sort of little healer chick. Good for her. I just had such high hopes for Dorian. People will compare Dorian to Rhys from the ACOTAR series, and they're always like, oh my gosh, which one? This is the kind of stuff that I've gone into these books with, is just people reacting to these characters. We are in another training montage with Selena again. But now it's kind of got like a little bit of a mystery thing going on, because like these random bodies are popping up and you're like, these things sound like they were brutally murdered, which is right up Selena's alley. So I'm sure there will be more, because now that I can spoil it and talk about exactly what's happening and how I feel about it, I'm probably gonna be more likely to pick up the camera. I haven't been reading much. We are like 3.5 weeks, maybe 3 weeks into October, and I am still reading Heir of Fire. I think I am like over 60%. I am 68% into this book. See, chapter 45. I feel like things between Rowan and Selena are heating up in a weird way. Like I ship them. I do. I'm all for it. I like him better than Chaol. But I just don't know. I don't understand the attraction yet. I guess they've been working out together, if that's what you want to call it, the training thing. I guess they've been doing that for a couple of weeks now, months maybe, but the time frame is kind of blurry to me. They're working out, blah, 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 blah. And then all of a sudden, Rowan is like Mr. Protective, Mr. Who did that to you? And I'm like, bro, you hate her. Like, what is causing this change? And here's the thing. Since we're in spoiler mode, surely this isn't a spoiler for ACOTAR. But here's your warning if it is. I know that they have the whole mating bond thing and that the guys know it before the girls. I'm wondering if that happened for Rowan and he's just not accepting it yet, because he's still acting like a jerk to her, but also like a protective jerk. I'm confused. Too much time is passing for me to fully be invested, and I'm sorry. I realize that is a disservice to all who are watching and thrilled about somebody else reading a book you like. That's just where I'm at. I'm kind of confused. I still like, what's her name? What's the witch chick's name? Manon. Manon! No, I knew that the whole time because she's my favorite character. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know enough about her yet to be my favorite character. She's pretty cool though. I like Manon. Kind of weird that she's on the bad guy side. Oh, what will that turn into? I want to finish this so I can get on to the next one. I think the next one is the one that people don't like, which is thrilling. Maybe not the next one. Maybe it's the next one after that. All right, let's read. I have officially finished The Heir of Fire. My feelings toward the series are steadily climbing. I think we're finally getting past whenever there's something that's going on and you know that there's more than what they're telling you, and it's just so obvious that there's more than what they're telling you, and they finally put it all out there and you can see the issues that the characters are trying to overcome, and you can see the layers of the characters better, and you understand why they are the way that they are. It's like once all of that finally clicks into place, it's so much better now. I get why we had to drag that stuff out. I get it. It's part of the story. It's part of the world building. But like, Celaena was really driving me crazy. The relationship between her and Rowan is still kind of weird to me. No, you know what's weird? What's weird is her relationship with her cousin. What's his name? Rodian? I don't remember his name. But her relationship with her cousin, that, I struggle with that because I am very close to my cousins. My cousins are like my best friends. I get being close to your cousin. But like, they're a little bit too like, meh. Ugh, I don't want to talk about it anymore. I'm just saying, it's just kind of like a little icky to me. I'm jumping ahead. I have already started Queen of Shadows. I am like 20% into it. I'm not exactly sure where that puts me. Also, this one is a brick. Look at it. It's just, it took me almost a month to read Heir of Fire, and this one's bigger. Who was I to think I was gonna get these books read in September? I know nothing. I am nothing. I am just being dragged along as we go. Aelin. Aelin is the cousin. Not a fan of the relationship between Aelin and Celaena / Aelin. The thing is, I really loved Celaena in the Assassin's Blade, like the stories of Celaena and like the journey that she went through in the little novellas of the Assassin's Blade. I loved those, and every time that they refer back to those memories, I get so excited. Now, getting into it, when I first read them, I wasn't as fully invested because I was just thinking, what is this leading up to? But now that I'm getting into the series, I keep going back to those stories. I think that's partly because of her relationship with Sam. I really, really loved her relationship with Sam. The fact that that's a driving factor of her moving forward and stepping into her power now is kind of almost this revenge for Sam, at least within the Queen of Shadows. I've really appreciated that a lot more than who she became in Throne of Glass and the Crown of Midnight. I really got very annoyed with who she became in Crown of Midnight. But that's where we're at in the Queen of Shadows. I think I'm like 20% into it. They've just rescued Aelin. Fun little factor though of this reading journey for me is that I have recently got a Kindle. It's helping me get through Queen of Shadows because I can just take it with me wherever I go with my friends. I went to watch the A&M game last weekend and pulled up my Kindle, got to read while the boys had fun talking trash about football. That's where we're at. I'm very excited. I'm loving where the plot is going. I feel like it's building. I feel like it's getting exciting. That's it for now. Yeah, it's been over a month. You've completely missed November. It was a busy month with people coming to town, Thanksgiving, trying to handle all the complications of, you know, family life and things like that. My parents were home for a whole week and I don't feel comfortable pulling out a camera and talking while they are here. So here we are now, they're back to school. Where we last left off, I was reading Queen of Shadows. I have since finished that, as I'm sure you would have hoped, since I started that near the beginning of October. Finished that in the beginning of November and I loved it. It was so good. I think I gave it a 4.75. So close to a 5-star. So close. I don't remember why I didn't give it a 5-star. I think it was just because of how it felt like it was dragging for so long before anything actually happened. A lot of politics were at play with Celaena / Aelin stepping into her power as a ruler and as royalty, and then building up her ranks and going forth with a plan to overtake overtake the king, save Dorian. And then when it finally escalated to that crescendo at the end of the book, I thought it was so good. I loved how she confronted the king. I loved how you kind of come to realize that the king had been possessed by the Valg demon the entire time. And it kind of made sense. It made sense for all the stuff that had happened over the past 10 years throughout the land of Adarlan. I don't remember. I've been reading this for 3 months, and you would think I'd be better with the names of things, but so now I am doing the tandem read of Empire Storms and Tower of Dawn. Let me tell you, I'm about to throw in the towel. So much was happening at the end of Queen of Shadows. I was all in, ready to know what was going to happen next with Aelin and with Dorian and how they were going to go once they went their separate ways and Aelin went to Terrassen. I was excited to know what was going to happen with the witches and all of their politics that's going on. But all of a sudden you get thrown into this tandem read that you have to read a certain way, which I know I could probably say I'm not going to read the tandem. I'm going to do it the Empire Storms and then the Tower of Dawn. But I've seen so many bad reviews for Tower of Dawn, and like, I get it. I don't know. I'm only 20% in to both of them. It's been a month. I've been reading both of these books for a month, and I'm about 20% in to both of them. It makes me feel like a failure. As a person who loves to read, I'm enjoying them. I just also am very bored. I'm tired of Tower of Dawn and how it's only about Chaol, who, as we know, isn't my favorite character. It feels kind of like a waste of a book. We're getting so far into the nitty-gritty of how they're going to fix his back. And it's cool. It's cool because you get to see the healer girl. Irene, that's what I call her in my head. So that's what we're gonna call her from now on. I do like her, and she's probably the only thing I like about that book so far. I feel like Chaol is very whiny as of right now. He's very woe is me, I'm no good, I'm worthless because I can't stand and fight anymore. And I'm like, bruh, didn't we just go through this in the last book where you were no good because you weren't a soldier anymore? Dude, get it together. Oh, he just drives me crazy, and it's an entire book about him, apparently. I keep waiting for the chapter to jump to somebody else, and no. But that's why I'm doing the tandem read. At least I'm getting some chapters in between all of the Chaol stuff where we get to bounce back to the other book where more interesting things are happening with Aelin, Rowan, and, which we haven't really seen very much with Rowan yet, Dorian, Manon. The next chapter I'm about to read, 17, starts with Manon. I'm excited to see what's going on with the witches. But yeah, that's really all I've got to update. I feel like I'm always negative when I come on here and I talk about how I'm feeling. And I don't mean to be. I don't mean to be negative. I am enjoying it. But it's just so long. And it's taking me forever to get through it. So I feel like there's something wrong with me. What I will say that I do enjoy is, even though it has been a process of getting through these books, and even though I've still got a long way to go and that stresses me out, having been in these books for so long, it is comforting to pick up where I left off and just know the characters. Like, I have a sense of familiarity with the characters and with the world that has been developed over time, obviously. That's the update. That's where we're at. I don't remember if I was sick the last time I talked on here too. I feel like I was, but we've entered the time of year where I'm just constantly stuffy, so I apologize for that after the fact that I've been talking for the last 10 minutes. I will see you in a little bit. Hopefully by the time I come back with an update, I will be done with the tandem read. Fingers crossed. Talk to y'all soon. Hey guys, how long has it been? Christmas is over, New Year's is over, we're about halfway into January, so we are 4.5 months into this video, and since the last time y'all have checked in, I have finished the last 3 books in the series. I know, it's huge, it's big, it's a big deal. I actually finished Kingdom of Ash last week, so let's start with the notes that I made, because I knew that I wasn't going to be able to sit down and talk through the books as I was reading them. I would make notes in my notes app whenever I would think of something or something that I wanted to talk about or bring up. The first thing on here is name pronunciations. I don't even know what I made that note about, so it looks like this worked. I don't even remember what the last thing that I updated about. I think I was in the middle or in the 20% mark of the tandem read. I think that's what we're talking about. We're talking about Empire of Storms and Tower of Dawn. So the name pronunciations. I listened to a podcast about people talking about this so I can see how other people are feeling. The names that they were saying were not the names that I was saying. They straight up called Urine Irene, like as if that's how it was spelled. So now I call her Irene. Irene, Chaol. I don't even have a list of the names or the ones that confuse me, but every single time I would hear a new name on this podcast, I was just like, who's that? I really, really enjoyed Empire of Storms. Every single time that we would come back from the tandem to that book, I'd be so excited. There was so much going on. Like, everybody's storyline in that book, I was hooked. Completely hooked. There were definitely moments where it was lagging, and I felt like those moments were also the moments when Tower of Dawn was lagging. And so I really dragged that tandem out badly. But by the time it gets to the last 25%, that's like a common thing. People always say, everything's starting to feel like the last 25% of the Sarah J. Maas book. And it's just because that's whenever like crap hits the fan, and it's just one thing after another, left and right. But we love it. We love it for that reason, right? So Tower of Dawn, I thought that Tower of Dawn got really good at the end. There were bits and pieces that I liked of it, but a lot of it that I felt was unnecessary. I think I already said this before, but we do not need 400 pages about how this guy is getting his back fixed or whatever. I don't know. There's a lot of just unnecessariness in that book to me that I slightly resented. Like, to me, did we even need Chaol as a character? I don't hate him. I've grown to like him by the end of this book, by the end of the series, but like, I don't know, just seemed like it was a overkill, in my opinion. I said that I love the war and battle strategy revealing itself. I think I was talking about how Aelin is always 10 steps ahead of not only everybody that she's around, and it's kind of frustrating people, like it frustrates Rowan, it frustrates Aelin, but she's also 10 steps ahead of us, the reader. You have no idea what's happening until Aelin reveals it, and that doesn't happen very often in books. Normally when you're in a character's head, and Aelin is the main character, normally when you're in their head, you go through the whole process of them processing what's happening to them. But with Aelin, you only get bits and pieces of that. And then you realize, oh, you're not actually in her head. You are reading in the third person. But it doesn't feel that way until everything is unveiled. Wait a second, I'm also in the dark. She knows more than I do. And I really liked that about her as a character, is the way that she would just drop these plans and be thinking way ahead of everybody else. She's like in another atmosphere. Okay, I said, it makes me mad how all these characters are making such a big deal about Aelin being gone. Like, she was 8 when she disappeared, and she came back only when she was stronger than ever. What did they expect from her? Okay, that one, that's true. I remember that. I remember thinking that during Empire of Storms, and she finally made it back to Terrasen. I learned how to pronounce that one. And all the people or the lords that are in charge of Terrasen right now are like mad at her for being gone for 10 years. What is she supposed to do when she's 8, when this king is running rampant? What is she even supposed to do when she's 15? They didn't know that she was an assassin or that she was training. They were just mad that she wasn't there. What is she supposed to be? Your little mascot? No, I think that's bullcrap. She's over here training, going through torture, learning how to become this amazing assassin, and she's been through slavery. She's been through all this crap. And you're sitting here mad that she hasn't been here? Oh, that made me so mad. I'm like, dude, back off. I didn't really have any updates for the end of that tandem read, even though as soon as I finished it, I immediately bought the next one. I have all the physical copies, but I've been traveling so much that I'm like, I have to have my Kindle. I have to just take this with me. I bought Kingdom of Ash immediately as soon as I finished the tandem. The way that that wrapped up, the way that it ended, like I said, with Aelin revealing all these different plots and schemes, kind of all unfurling at once, and then it's still coming back to bite her, and like her getting captured by Maeve the way that she did, and just being taken, and then all these people, oh my gosh, I got so emotional whenever all these people that she had connected with throughout the course of the books came together because she had called. And we knew that she was doing something like this. If I remember correctly, she had said this is one of the few plans that we knew about. It was mentioned so early that it was easy to forget that she had had these plans in motion, but nobody else did. And so then whenever all these people start showing up, what's her name, the girl that she met with the assassins, Ansel. Alright, Ansel. Ansel's showing up with her army that she had won after Aelin had let her live, showing up to repay that life debt. Rolf and the Mycenaeans pulling up. What a man. I love Rolf. Big fan. The Silent Assassins came with the... what's his name? Ilias? Was it Ilias? The Mute Master's son. I should come better prepared for these things. That's so sad. I just found a Reddit comment that said, why haven't Selena and Sam considered moving to the Silent Assassins? R.I.P. Sam. Honestly, I think even after everything, Sam is still my favorite. I don't know. That's tough. Ilias.
I got it right the first time. So Ilias and the Silent Assassin showing up, and I don't even know who else, but just all these people showing up. Oh, and then Rowan turning like his cousins and getting his cousins to come help out on Aelin's side. That was huge. Big moment. That was really cool. That's not even something that Aelin planned. Oh yeah, and then the 13 came, but that was because of Abraxas. Because Abraxas went and got the 13, found the 13 for Manon. Which, Manon, people are saying it's Manon. How are you supposed to pronounce? How are you supposed to pronounce that? That doesn't just roll off the tongue. Manon rolls off the tongue. The people in the podcast, they had a strong emphasis on the on when they would say it. So they would say Manon, and that's like the opposite of Manon. And I don't like that because for 8 books I've been reading Manon. Manon and her 13 and the way that they started to fight back, oh my gosh. I love them so much. They're so cool. Getting into breakdown of Kingdom of Ash, I said, not very into Chaol's side of the story right now, or Adian's, because he's acting like a big baby. Mostly interested in Aelin and Manon. That was accurate throughout the entire course of the book. I really did not care about Chaol or Irene. Don't hate me for that. They're not my favorites. Anyway, and then Aelin, oh my gosh. First of all, I don't remember when this happened. I think it might have been in Empire of Storms. But at some point, somebody makes a suggestion that Aelin might have to marry Aelin for, I don't know, to strengthen their bloodline. I just remember reading that and then Aelin being like, what? You want me to marry my cousin? That's disgusting. And I'm like, dude, the entire book, which one was it? Was it Heir of Fire? I think it was Heir of Fire. The entire Heir of Fire, you're talking about how obsessed you are with your cousin and how you would do anything for her, be anything for her. I was disgusted and I did not like him as a character during that entire sequence. And then he finally settled into his rank, I guess, after Rowan showed up and like claimed his territory. All that. Ugh. In chapter 34, I realized what makes me mad about Aelin. Well, there we go. He's one of those men who decides he's right and that there are no other options besides what he believes to be true and won't entertain any ideas to the contrary. I know these men. They are uncreative and full of themselves, and I do not like Aelin at all. That was some harsh words on my end, but they're true. Moving on. Okay, so this is as soon as I finished the book, I wrote these down. Wow, what a whirlwind. So freaking good. I think the thing that really made the final book hit the way it did was the amount of time that I have spent with these characters. When I think back to where Aelin started in Assassin's Blade and everything she's been through since then, it feels like I have genuinely spent the last year and a half with her rather than the last 4.5 months. The same goes for Manon and Dorian. I don't think that their wins and losses or their character arcs would have impacted me as much if I hadn't invested such a large chunk of time with them. The end was spectacular. Seeing all the threads pull together over the last 8 books to create such a beautiful tapestry in the end was well worth it. It's kind of funny reading that, knowing how often I came and just ranted to the camera. Like, all of a sudden Kingdom of Ash just makes me, oh my gosh, I love the series. But it's true, I do love the series. I rate it as a 5-star series, even though I only got 2 5 stars out of it. Well, okay, I haven't given you my ratings yet. So for Empire Storms, I gave it a 5-star because I loved Empire Storms. I thought it was so good. It was the perfect start to Kingdom of Ash. And in Tower of Dawn, I gave it 4.5. So that's not a bad rating. Even with as annoyed as I was with Chaol's storyline, there were parts of it that I really did enjoy. I thought that the whole world behind the Rooks was very interesting. It's almost its own culture there that's different from the rest of that continent. I did cry. I actually cried a lot during these 3 books, which is another reason that my ratings have since just kept going up and up. Not that I like crying, but if you can get emotion out of me, then you're doing a good job. Try to keep things on the up and up, you know? I try to keep things usually genuinely positive. Empire of Storms, I cried whenever everybody showed up for Aelin, even though she had been taken away. Specifically whenever Adian had chewed her out about not doing anything, but then she did, above and beyond what anybody could expect her to do. Yeah, that made me emotional. Anytime people show up for people, that makes me emotional. So likewise, Tower of Dawn, whenever Nesserin and Sartak are being corralled or they're about to be killed by the spiders, Harin Kui, and then the entire armada of the Rooks and the clans show up for them. Oh, I cried during that. Oh my gosh, Kingdom of Ash, I cried so often. I wish I'd set up a camera to catch that because I'm sitting here on a plane flying back from a ski trip that I took with my cousin, aunt, and uncle, and I'm just sitting here in tears streaming down my face whenever Manon fought her aunt and earned the respect of all of the witch covens that she's with. Manon taking the crown of stars and putting it on her head, stepping into a role as the queen of the witches. They would take the fire and they would say, your queen calls you to war, and they're just passing it on, and the way they passed it on and the sequence of all the different witches witches throughout the lands. They just follow all these different witches, grabbing their brooms and going to war. Oh my gosh, like, it makes me want to tear up right now. She worked so hard. She has overcome so much to get to this point where people respect her. Oh, it's so good. I ended up giving Kingdom of Ash 6 stars. Having been with these characters for so long, I've been reading these books for 4.5 months. This started back in September, and whenever I think back to that, I feel the time. I feel the time between me now and me when I first started reading about a little assassin going off to the desert to join the silent assassins and learn from them, and how the decisions that she made there impacted her here now, all this time later. It just feels like I've lived it with her. The amount of time that I've invested, it just feels like I've been there and I've witnessed it and I've seen firsthand where she came from and how she got here. Same with all the other characters too. I think that there are such great character arcs for everybody, even those characters that aren't my favorites. I still enjoyed getting to see where they started and how they ended up. I love everybody, for the most part, having a happy ending. Overall, I'm very happy with the time that I spent in this world. 10 out of 10, would do it again. Highly recommend. And thank you for sitting here through however long this thing's gonna end up being. I think I'm splitting it into 2. I think I decided that. So at this point, you're in the second video. Thank you for enjoying this time with me. I hope that you were able to relate or feel like, you know, we're sitting down and having this conversation about these books that we probably both love. Feel free if you have any comments or opinions. We're real, we're honest, and we're doing our very best. And this is our first video. Hopefully it only gets better from here. Thank you for joining. If you enjoyed the content, then hit the subscribe button. That's so exciting. I've always wanted to say that. I'll see y'all next time.